Good morning, everyone. I'm John Peloton. I'm with Community Futures La Biche. If any, if any, if no one, if any of you doesn't know what is Community Futures La Biche, we are a non-profit organization dedicated to uh, building or supporting the economic climate of our community, the La Biche County. Um, some announcements. We have a conference coming up in October, 7th, the Power Up North. It's happening at Portage College from October 8th to 10th. It's tailored to businesses and entrepreneurs. Um, if it would be it would be beneficial to you if you attend the conference. And we also have a barbecue event coming up here at our office tomorrow at 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. here at our office, Community Futures Beach office, 10106 102 Avenue. Um, so introducing
Are you
David.
cooking, John?
Yeah.
Are you on the grill? All
Yeah.
right.
So introducing David Kincade. So David Kincade is a founder of Alberta Business Grants in 2015. Uh, Prior to Alberta Business Grants, he worked for 4 years at the Legislative Assembly of Alberta as a finance research and executive assistant. His background includes 12 years as a successful grant writer, totaling over 10 million in wins. He has an advanced grant writing course, and all of his students have now won a total amount of 29 million and counting. He is also the author of Golden Grant Rules, the ultimate guide for winning government grants. Um, I'm going to pass the floor to you, David.
Sure. Thank you very much, John. And thank you, everybody, for joining today. Community Futures asked me to come in and basically give a talk to you about business grants, kind of 101. So I've got a poll just to ask a little bit about your background, just so I can point you in the right direction. But I'm going to go through a quick presentation here, or reasonably quick. I want to respect your time and go through the basics of grants, understand a little bit about me, about you, how grants work. And then we'll have a Q&A. So the chat's on, so feel free to use that as much as you want. And as I mentioned, we'll record this so that there'll be a recording available as well. So with that, I'm going to share my screen here for a moment. You can go ahead and there we go. So this is going to be from startup to scale up. So this is kind of like business grants, how they work, 101, this idea of, you're starting grants and then you're growing, and sort of how does that work? So this is what we're going to walk through today. You can see this okay, John?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Here's our agenda. We've got just some introductions, myself, a little bit about me, and then a bit about who you are, some need to know things about grants. And I want to go through some business grants 101. And then I'm going to go through the 3 things of winning a grant. And I always say winning a grant is 3 steps. You need to find the money, meet them. You can meet them. A lot of people like meet the grant agencies I'm referring to. A lot of times people don't know you can actually talk to these people. And then some tips on writing the applications. And then we will turn to a Q&A. And for today, we're going to really have this sort of go-no milestone for you. When John reached out, John, I think it's fair to say that you've had people common questions like, how do I get a grant for my business, right? It's kind of yeah. So I've been doing this a long time. I've got a busy site. I got 11,000 people on my email list. I got, 8 to 10,000 people on my site a month. So I get a lot of questions about that. So really today, I just want to get you to a go-no milestone, which is, wow, you know what? Grants are for me. There's something here. I'm going to keep pursuing it. Or this is where my little space in grants going to work for now. And I'm going to do this really well. And then I'm going to move on. So that's the goal here today. And I won't spend too much time on this, but John mentioned my whole background has been, um, political science in the government, and then studying government, and then working at the legislature. And then I kind of found this niche of writing grants for businesses, and kind of fell in love with businesses. And I publish a weekly newsletter called the Grant Gazette, which publishes. John, if you don't mind throwing that in the chat, just on my website, there's a sign up form there, maybe for people. Publishes upcoming grant deadlines by sector. So John will just pop that in. If he can't grab it, I'll put it in there for you. And also teach advanced grant writing 3 times a year. So that's more for people who are like, there's a grant for you. It's like $50,000 or greater. I teach people how to win it. Now, as we move into government, I just kind of want to take this is a very old picture of Dave. Things have changed a lot. But this idea of being nonpartisan, as a former prime minister with me years ago, or I'm with him, I should say. And, I've always had this nonpartisan approach. So it's kind of a strange space, the government, right? Like you get into government grants, it can become very ideological. But I've always sort of been agnostic and be like, hey, this is how it works, as I'm going to show you some interesting stuff. You do have to have a basic understanding of government to understand government grants. And a lot of people don't. So we're going to begin there and demystify that a little bit for you, but you'll pick up some new skills. It'll be super fun, and we'll move forward. Now, if that is about me, it does help me to learn a bit about you. So I have a poll, which, listen, if you don't want to answer it, you don't have to. It just produces the accumulated results of everybody. But if I'm going to launch a poll that asks 6 questions about like where you're at in grant writing, so I can help me understand you. If you don't want to answer it, don't answer at all. This is not mandatory, right? I'm going to launch it right now. You should see it, and then I'll just share the results here when they're done. But just gives me an idea if you're like have you ever won a grant before, or you haven't? And that way I don't, I can speak to the audience. You can see it on your screen there, okay, John?
Actually, yeah, I saw the poll, but I can't vote since I'm a
Oh yeah.
panelist.
Okay, great. Okay, so we've got a couple people who have not won grants before. Usually about half the group is. Oh wow, a lot of people are new to grants. Okay, this is very helpful for me. Thank you very much. We've got one person with a lot of experience. That's great. How confident? All right. Okay. Okay, I'm going to end the poll now. Here we go. And I'm going to share the results with you. Share results. Have a look at that. Half of you, or half of you, have not won a grant before. A lot of you don't have a lot of experience. Oops. There we go. And timeline reporting. This is kind of cool. And we'll stop sharing that. Okay. So there's a lot of people who are very new at this. Appreciate that information. And I will do my best to keep it kind of straightforward for you. So in general, for the grants are everywhere, so there's no surprise that you can see this, John. Okay, right? You're looking at the Volkswagen. Okay, there's no surprise that they're everywhere, right? You'll hear, oh my gosh, Canada's investing in this large battery plant and they're getting a whole bunch of money, like 13 billion. Then you'll see here, um, there's vehicle theft, um, and larger, I don't know, rural areas get lots of theft too, but they'll come up with a grant program on, hey, how can we stop this? And then, even if you have a farm, they'll be like, okay, here's a grant for energy efficient. So grants are like kind of everywhere. And I think a lot of people just kind of drown in it, not drown in it, but it's just like, holy smokes. Like most people I find are like this. They're like, hello, I see there's grants. Like I want some of that money. And, you know, how do I kind of figure this space out? And a lot of times when people come to me initially, I'm like, one of the best mindsets you could have with winning grants is to do something really interesting that you love doing, you're passionate about, and you're an expert in your space or you're highly trusted. And this idea of being trusted by government and businesses, that space in between, are really, really valuable. So my vision, like as a company and mission, is to be like, look, I want to build trust between government and business. So I educate people on, here's a grant, here's how they work, here's how you win it. And I would encourage you, whatever your business is, um, in general, the government wants you to succeed, right? So be really good at what you do. Be always, be someone that the government gives money to. The check presentation would be going on out front of your building, if you will. So if you kind of have that vision in the end in mind, it's a good way to start to begin to approach grants. Now, after this webinar, I'm going to show you how to find grants. We're going to teach you how to meet grant agencies effectively, and tips on how to win them. So this is the journey you're about to go on. I'm going to give you a little business grants 101, and then each time we get down a section, I'm going to drop in here, okay? And then we'll do things you need to know, and then we'll continue on through there. So remember what I said just a few minutes ago around, okay, be trusted, be someone that the government would be proud to give a check to, which is a little bit different than some people, not saying you, but some people will come to me and say, hey, give me a grant, give me a grant. But it's different mindset of saying, look, government, I see you're trying to achieve a certain objective, happens to align with what we're doing. Here's what we're doing, and then apply for the program and win. Oftentimes governments, if you're doing something cool, they'll even approach you and say, wow, how can we help you? So this is one of my favorite quotes. But to get your head around this, you just need to have a little tiny bit of knowledge about grants. So let's begin, especially for all those newbies. Like, what are grants? And essentially, it's taxpayer money. Not essentially, it is taxpayer. It's taxpayers' money. It goes to the government. They run a program and they give it out. You don't need to pay it back. There are some interest-free loans out there, but grants in general, you apply for them, you don't need to pay them back. And what's confusing is that they're often not called grants. So they'll be called support, fund, initiative, program, plan, service, stream, solution, partnership, opportunity. They'll be called just about anything. Anyone in the chat want to take a guess at why that might be? Like, why would they, if they're giving out grants, why they might never call them grants? I'm just looking in the chat right now. Feel free. I know I don't, some of you are probably in the middle of eating, so I'm not going to hold you to it. But oftentimes, you know, make it harder to find them. Yeah, right. Yeah, they don't want, hey, we want to get this grant away, but we actually don't want to spend the money. Yeah, try to be, but oftentimes, like, you'll see sometimes the word grant can be a bit dirty, right? Like, it'll go in like trends. Like there'll be like a big scandal, and then they'll run. They'll be like, let's not call this a grant. So it is interesting slash highly confusing for new people when they get into grants, when they Google like employee grant and they find out it's like youth internship program. So just know don't get too frustrated by it. Like it's just part of the learning curve and you'll get your head around it. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but it's really helpful for you to know where grants come from. So believe it or not, this was the last federal election and these were their platforms. So in here, you can see, oh, look, the conservatives, they were promising types of grants and the liberals had grants. And so grants are this really interesting thing. Like we're on social media and Republicans and Democrats or conservatives or liberals are always like, at each other, right? But grants are just these interesting thing that they're a tool like taxes, if you will, that the government can do to help achieve its mandate. So hopefully this is starting to land with you, right? It's achieve their mandate. So it's they win, they run the programs to achieve their objectives, and then you're this like canoe coming up to this boat saying, "Oh, look, we're going in the same direction." And this is you starting to figure out, okay, this is at least where they come. And hopefully the fog here is starting to lift. I find a lot of people come into grants and it's just so overwhelming. They don't know what's going on. So hopefully this helps. But in real simple terms, here's what happens. So they run in elections, they form the government, whether provincially or federally. Like those of you, I'm sure most of you know, but we have 3 levels of government. Like, you have your municipal, your provincial, and then you have your federal, and being an indigenous side of this as well. But just in terms of straight up grants that we're talking here, we're talking you have municipal level, provincial, and federal, and mainly provincial and federal that we're going to talk. Well, we'll talk a little bit local too, but then these people here are bureaucrats, people that work in the government that will give out the money. Now, not to confuse you, but there's so much money that they give out that they'll even have these organizations called delivery agents. So think Tech Nation, Eco Canada. These are organizations that the organization will contract to distribute the funds. They're not experts, say, in like tech. So they'll partner with an organization, a national organization like Tech Nation to say, hey, we want to get youth working. Here's hundreds of millions of dollars. Can you give it out to people and run the program? And then that's how you get the grants. So it's just good for you to know, who are you talking to? Are you talking to an elected person? Are you talking to a bureaucrat? Are you talking to a delivery agent? And it's just important for you to understand this. And the next step on this is start to realize, oh, okay, which level of government am I talking to? And again, that can be a bit confusing too, okay? And that, by the way, you'll get this. For those of you that are new, just hang in there. Like, yeah, it's a new skill you're getting today, but it's a very valuable one and one you can apply year after year, okay? So, John, thumbs up for pulling this off today, all right? But there's local government grants. So for some of you who want to have a brick and mortar business, or local event, this could be very valuable to you. Now, some of you will be, if you're in event rentals or something like that, you'll be an eligible expense to those grants. So I would say for any of you on here who are like, Dave, I don't think I'm going to get many grants, you might be an eligible expense to grants. And I'm going to walk you through that in the Q&A if you're interested. Then you got provincial grants and you've got federal grants. Now, and then I threw this in here as an example, but just to make it confusing. But sometimes the province and the feds will work together on a joint program. Stay with me. Do not zone out right now. Like, eat your sandwich, take a big drink, and then just get ready for this one. But then they'll form a joint program. So agriculture grants are like that. You'll see that it's a 5-year program where the province and the feds work together and they distribute grants. And this is one as well. So it's called the Canada Alberta Job Grant. Again, I just wanted to let you know, it's kind of confusing, right? Especially for you newbies in here, over half of you. It's like, Dave, I want a training grant. Like most of you will Google train employee grant. You wouldn't Google Alberta, Canada.
David,
Yep.
something's wrong with your mic.
Something's wrong with my microphone. Oh, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, all good now.
Yeah, I can hear him. I can hear him fine. I can hear you fine. Okay. Thank you, Candace. Thank you, everybody. So just be mindful of that, okay? And again, by the way, when you get these new skills, other people don't have these skills. It's just something of value that you're getting with yourself. All right. Show me a chat in the chat that Dave, I'm following along, just so that I'm with you. Anybody? Is anybody out there? I am looking at the chat right now. I can hear you. Yeah, I'm following. Nice. Thanks, Franny. Now, quick quiz for you. True or false? Let's just warm this up here. Taxpayers want a return on their money. Pretty obvious question. We're all taxpayers here. 100%, right? Now, totally, Franny, I'm with you. Now, who do you think is eligible for more grants? Exporting businesses or small local businesses? Tanya, export, small, okay, kind of even. But you'll find that export, like a business that's going to export, right? They're going to get sales all over the world. So you're going to find it, they can get a lot of grants, right? Like if you're a barber shop, you're going to have your little brick and mortar store, which is great, and maybe one employees. But if you're an export business, like a manufacturing facility, you're going to get grants for hiring staff, new equipment, exporting new country, go to trade shows, maybe a grant to expand your facility. So, and it's this idea of getting your head around, oh, okay, these entities that are going to create jobs, diversify our economy, the government really wants to support them. Now, there's still some on the small side, but you need to know. And the last one, I want to end with a little bit of optimism and I'll give it away, but nearly all businesses are eligible for some grants. That's right, Tanya. You're absolutely right. Tanya's saying tons of tech. Yeah, if you're in like tech, reducing emissions, I'm going to show you in a minute. Lots of grants. Franny, yes. So, yes, exactly, Tanya. Tanya, true, but at certain points only. And that's kind of what we're doing today is like, what is this go no milestone for you? Where are you at on this grant scale where you're like, hey, this is for my business right now. This is where I am. And I'm fine with that. Like I've had landscaping companies win multiple employee grants. Could you imagine? I did a project where we looked at who was winning grants and other landscaping companies were winning and he wasn't, and then he started to win grants. Like what an unbelievable difference. Okay, yeah, it's transfer totally, Joanne. Now let's just go quickly. So there's some sort of overview of kind of getting your mind around grants, taxpayer money. They have objectives. We want to support them. Now let's just move into some quick things I want you to know about grants. Most grants fund future projects. Some of these grants, a lot of them will open and close. So don't be discouraged as we go through things. You're like, Dave, that's closed. Yeah, they close. The government fiscal year, provincially and federally, goes April 1 to March 31st. So you'll find a lot of grants will open up around April. They'll open up again in the fall, and then they'll close. And some will be open all the time until they run out. So you just got to be familiar with that. And that's why I always say you get better at grants as you go along. So thumbs up to you right now for showing up here and putting the work in. But like in 2025, if you kind of get these skills, you can become really good at, winning grants. Like next summer, you can get really dialed in on it. So it's really, really smart to plan your year in advance. Most grants don't fund startups. So we find a lot of people hope they do, but I am going to show you where the money goes in that space so that you can get support. And some grants are easier to write than others. And that's really good to know. Like the export one, the provincial one was pretty straightforward, but the federal one's much more complex. So, and then student grants, you can get these grants in a few hours. So we want to get you to this go no, and we want you to move on. Now, I love this image. It's actually put on by Alberta Innovates, and it's this idea of you can get grants along the entire journey, especially on the tech side, right? Coming up with ideas. These are like micro vouchers, a voucher for testing stuff, and then you can get grants up to scaling and piloting. So it's just a good visual to know. Part of this discussion we're having today is like, where are you at? Are you on this journey somewhere? Is your business in one area that can get one certain types of grants? We just want to figure that out and let you launch successfully. So just keep learning and keep growing. Now, I want to show you something here. Where most money in grants goes, you'll find, and who was it that said this earlier? It was Tanya. Maybe someone else said something too. The big money is if you're in agriculture, environment, indigenous, tech, not for profit. If you're in more than one of those, it's a really good grant space. Like if you're like one of my clients was Radical. They were an environmental tech company. It was like, holy smokes, could they win a lot of grants? Or if you're an egg processor or a producer, there's grants in that space. Then there's this other tier, and this is my grouping, okay? So, use your own thoughts and of course, as you would, but there's this whole affordable housing, arts and culture, employment, etc. type grants. Now there's some smaller ones as well, which I'm going to show you, but in general, this is kind of like where most of the money is going to be flowing. Now, one of the things I encourage people to do, and I'm going to get you to do this right now, is you can look and see who's getting money. So right now, I'm going to stop sharing for a sec, and I'm going to put in the chat for you this is the Open Federal Grant Database. Take this here. I'll put this in the chat and open this up. So what this is, there you go. Click on that. John, just click on that if you don't mind. And type in like vertical farming, whatever industry you're in, landscaping. Go into that Open Grant Database and hit search for a minute. And you're going to begin to see some pretty crazy stuff. Let me know in the chat just some findings you're getting. Warning, it can become highly addictive. And by the way, just for your own future reference, here's the Alberta one. So it's a really good tool for you just to get your head around, is anybody getting grants in my space? What does it look like? How much are they getting? So like I say, anything you can put in there, vertical farming, logistic, whatever you're in, just put it in there and you'll see, wow. Oftentimes you can also, another tool you can do is put like your name in there, even if you're like, you could be, well, like a municipal entity or crown corporation, or you could put your competitors in there or your own company in there. It's a very eye-opening experience. Are you making a note? Okay, just someone throw in the chat with me saying, Dave, it's working. Just let me know it's working. Just someone throw in there. Joanne, thank you very much. Yeah, pretty cool, huh? Thanks, Lauren. It's insane. At least I think it is. Anyway, due to time, we're going to move on. At least I hope we are. But if you get addicted to that, I can't blame you. Very cool. I know, Franny, right? And the Fed one's there too. Like, and it goes right down to like, if to individual name. So, by the way, just public service announcement. When you're in grants, always tell the truth. Don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal. It's public information, it's taxpayer, and I don't want you to be on the front page of the newspaper. I'm not trying to scare you or anything like that, but it's public taxpayer dollars and there's a level of responsibility you want. And I'm just kind of letting you know, it's all very public, okay? Let's keep rolling. Let's keep rolling. I'm glad you like that. And there's other tools. John, if you don't mind, could you also throw in the chat here for everybody? This is my Finding Grant database on my website. There's 1,000 grants. We keep it pretty updated too. In fact, very updated. Should be. And then there's Egg Pal. So if you're an egg, and then each department will have its own list too. So it's a lot of free grants. So I encourage you to find the money, spend some time finding the money, looking at your space and getting your head around that. But there's some free tools. The other is, John put it in the chat, is the Gazette. So the idea of staying on top of grant deadlines. Now, remember what I said earlier, most grants fund future projects. So one of the skills I want you to learn is what grants are coming down the pipe. So if you look at my Gazette, the latest issue, it goes by industry, so agriculture, with the grant deadlines coming up in order. And like 300 of them get published a week. It's totally free, so you can watch that and, stay on top of this thing. And again, I would encourage you, as you find grants and you go on the government page, sign up for their notifications so they can shoot you, like, when they open and close, you're getting on top of it. And part of that idea is being grant ready, right? So that's having your corporate, I won't go too far into this, but having your business plan done, all of those key pieces are really important. I won't go too down that road, but remember how I told you, grants open and close, so you got to be ready. Ask me more in the Q&A if you want me to go deeper into that. A couple of things is grab the low-hanging fruit. You'll get into grants and can be not overwhelming, but you're like, whoa, there's a grant, there's a grant, there's a grant. Like, go for the grant that's easy. Like, if you're like, well, I can get a $7,000 summer student, pretty straightforward, and it would be a big help to me. Like, go there versus like a large IRAP grant, maybe. Now, I don't know your situation, so this is not personal grant writing advice. Okay, I'm just saying in general, one application could be 40 pages, another one could be one, and pick one that's easy for you. I would encourage you to do, right? If you're new, which a lot of you are, focus on one grant at a time. Get your skills, learn, start talking to them. You want to be very competent when you talk to them. Think about Shark Tank or something. You want to know your business. And also realize you can win the same grants every year. And that's part of that integrity piece I was telling you about a minute ago is, if you're liked and you're trusted in your space, governments will want to align with you, as will customers, I'm sure. So know that, you're starting today in August 2024, but you can start to build and be like, oh, okay, I can do this. I can learn this. I can get this. I'm going to win this one and I'm going to grow. And you're going to be able to grow your business, which will be friggin' awesome. That would be amazing. That's what we want to do. Okay. Now, let's talk about the categories of businesses. Okay. And I'm trying to keep this rather general for you, but we're going to focus sort of on this sort of small business side. So and John, if you could throw in the chat for them, self-employment program. It's online, and I think they cover most of all northern Alberta. I took this program. It's government funded if you qualify, and you can get involved with them to start your business. And they'll help you build a business plan. They give you coaching. Again, if you're eligible, it's government funded, which is amazing. And so it says tech entrepreneur. No. This one down here. This one, that's the top one. This is part of Edmonton Unlimited, which I'm going to get to. Tanya, good eye though. On the tech side, I'm just trying to show you a very basic ecosystem. Tanya, on fire. I love it. I want you know where you are in the sort of startup ecosystem. Like when I started back in 2012, it felt like there was nothing, my first coach was out of Boston, for crying out loud, and he was terrible. But there's these much more robust ecosystem. So bolt into them. Notice they have programs. I know, most of you, I think on this call, I mean, in rural areas, find out, hey, can I get into this program? And if not, which program can get, do you have a similar program that I get into? They'll know. And so for startups, this is kind of where I recommend you go to start your journey. Okay. But I did this program. It definitely changed my life. It was amazing. So check it out. The next level will be summer students. Now, if you want to hire summer students, again, ask me in Q&A, but there's like 14 summer students. I did a YouTube video on 14 different summer students. I can throw that in there. It's on my YouTube channel. But there's the government will run a program, but then there's these delivery agents such as technician. So what I want you to do in this I guess kind of a working session, is to kind of get your head around, okay, you know what? I could hire summer students. I got a restaurant. Then Dave showed me the summer students, like a tourism. I think it's tourism HR. You can get summer students at your restaurant. Like, how amazing would that be? And you can go that way. Again, if you want more of these, we'll elaborate in question period. This is a training grant for employees. I mentioned it earlier. It opens and closes. Now, ironically, it's been open forever. I don't know if it's ever closed before, but it just closed. So it'll open back up in April. Or if the province kind of says, we need to think this is a priority and open it up, they might put some money into it. So yes, correct. Yeah. You had to be in business for a year, or you had a solopreneurship for over a year and you could prove it. So good work, Tanya, on that. So there's on the trainee side again. So, and what's cool about this one too is they changed it a couple years ago where entrepreneurs. So some of you were looking at starting a business. If you had 4 or less owners, you could get training, which is like, wow, I think it's pretty awesome. Like a lot of my advanced grant writing course, when this is open, a lot of people got this grant for that course. Then I want to talk about energy savings. So again, yeah, totally, Tanya. There's like energy savings. Again, I've just put here, this one's closed and this one's open. They just opened it up in August. So if you're on a farm right now, I want you to stand up where you are. The camera's not on. Start dancing around because this one opened up. You don't need to do that, but it'd be funny. And you just kind of got to realize, okay, there's which energy savings grants, which ones am I eligible for? You need to take some time. Again, you can dig deeper after this call, but it's just a good example of how they will open and close. This one here, they're accepting applications to September 30th, $2,400 for small businesses to get set up digitally. Most of you have probably heard of that one, but you should be on top of it. And then you get into the local grants, which, by the way, the county has an awesome, I visit a lot of different municipal websites. The county has a great website of business grants. And this one here, the business improvement grant, if you're a local business, they can help with the facade, right? And I understand, John, do you partner on that one as well? Something?
Yeah, we have a partnership with the county where we offer interest loans to eligible businesses for eligible expenses.
And it's partnered on that. So they give you 20 grand here. So you'll give a loan up to 20 grand interest free to
Yeah.
match that. Wow. That's so you get like $40,000 of facade improvement, 20 grand, 20 interest free loan. That's pretty, I mean, hello. Imagine someone does it. So many people do it and won't even know. That's what I find crazy. Anyways, the county they've done a great job there. So hats off to the county. And then employee grants. Again, remember how I showed you student grants? But then you can get into this space. Again, if you look employee search on even my database, it's totally open to the free. It's free. And in my newsletter, the Gazette, it's free as well. But these are delivery agents giving out programs that don't cost you anything. There's another one over here, employabilities. They're really awesome, where they run programs at no cost to you, or you can get a grant to hire people. So you can get your head around this. You can really get rolling. Now I want to just go up a little bit larger. Say someone on here is with a larger grant. You'll see here, this is they have a rural division of this, a rural investment growth fund. If you are a manufacturing facility and you're looking to expand or something, Google, write this down, Fort McLeod Investment and Growth Fund, and you'll see a company won $1 million from this fund. And you can see, look at this, Southland Trollers for 2.6, a chocolate factory won 2.1. So there's grants. Remember how the whole talk today is from startup to scale up. So as we go up this line, as you start your business and you grow your business, you're going to get businesses grants along the entire journey. And then you can get into your export grants. So once you get there and then you're shipping, you got to go to a trade show in Vegas or something, you can get grants for that. So it's quite an amazing world. And it's fascinating to me. It's still fascinating, like how they have different names and different delivery agents. But if you can get this skill set, you can help yourself and or help your businesses. A couple need to know. And someone said this, I can't remember who it was. Someone talking about they read the program, guys. I don't want to get the person wrong, whoever that was. I think it might have been Tanya. But read the relevant terms, read the grant guidelines, and know that these things can be competitions as well. So sometimes they're competitive, sometimes they're first come, first serve. So just take your time getting to know how these work. Spend a lot of time in the guidelines, though. A lot of times there. And remember, you can ask them for clarification, but don't be a person that doesn't read the guidelines and then ask them, because that triggers them. You know, you want your email to be like, hey, I read your program guides. It says this, but I'm still not clear. Is this? So when they see your name come up, you're someone credible. It's like, oh, okay, this is someone putting the work in. That's where you want to be. Okay, a couple points on meeting grant agencies. You with me, everybody? Hang in there. We're almost done. Hang in there. Now, here is the most nice, Angela, the most important step in all this. Most important step. And that is, John's like, I'm out of here. I'm out of here right now. John, get back. I don't want you to miss this. Is meeting grant agencies. So if you've done this right and you're going to meet the grant agencies, if you could throw in, John, if you can just Google in the chat, just throw in the 6 questions to ask at grant agencies. If you just Google that, you'll see my blog come up, Alberta Business Grants. Just throw that in there. You know, you'll want to ask, let's see. You know, am I eligible? Well, let's just bring it up. Did you find it okay, John? Okay. John's going to throw it in the chat right now. Hold on, guys. You want to ask them, like, you know, what the deadline date, how competitive is it? There we go. Oh, yeah. Let's add this one right here, John. Just one sec. Hang on with me, everybody. Here we go. I would use this one. So you want to ask, am I eligible? This is, again, after you read the program guides, okay? Are funds still available this year? Are you accepting applications? What's the deadline? How competitive is it? Because sometimes it's, you know, they're not as competitive as you think sometimes. Like sometimes you find, like, even on a larger one, oh, about 50% of people get accepted. It's like, oh, okay, 1 and 2, it's not bad. And then always ask this question. Do you have any advice? Remember, they are there to help you, right? They're paid for by the taxpayer. So sometimes they'll give you really good advice and you can form really good friendships with them and they'll help you. I've got a really good blog, blog coming up. If you receive my newsletter, the Grant Gazette, you'll be on the email list, but I'll just show you here. Just put right here. If you sign up here, oh, that's what the Gazette looks like. See, by sector. Pretty crazy, huh? These are all grants that are open right now for you. Of someone who recently lost a grant, she called them. This is one of my students. And she said, hey, I just wanted to find out what happened. And he said, oh, you got kicked out by a technical default. Sorry about that. You're actually really good. And then she ended up winning the grant. So building this relationship's really important. And one of the places you can meet them are at their events. So watch, you know, I'm sure the county is going to be at this event. And if you're going to get one of those local events, you want to know these people. You want to, if you're in agriculture, attend their webinars. even their online stuff. Get to know them, get involved, contact them. It's just so important. And then if you lose, be respectful and say, hey, what can I learn to get better? And it'll go a long way. So you want to find the right grant, read it really well, understand it, meet them. And we haven't even talked about writing yet. And at that point, you want to start writing. But I tell people you should have a really good sense by this stage if you're going to win it or not. Like you should be like, I found a grant, I read it, I'm a perfect fit. I talked to the person or emailed them. They said, yes, we're open for applications. We're looking for cool projects. And you had to talk with them, maybe even met them, which would be amazing. I ask when I attend grant events, I go, what percentage of people do you know that you give money to? And they, the number's usually around 70%. So you've talked to them, again, not annoyed them. You're professional, you respected their time, you prepared for the meeting, the agenda, you were clear and concise. Think of it like Shark Tank, Dragon's Den. Like you got to be dialed in, right? And then having spoken to them, you should feel quite confident. And then you go for it. And that includes if you're writing for someone else as well. And remember that some grants are easier than most. Okay, some are large, but some are quite reasonable. Remember some tips on first come, first serve. Create a good project, be trustworthy. I know I've been saying that over and over again, but it's just so important. And that's why I always say also grants and awards are cousin. Like just think about this for a moment. If you're the local business of the year or you've been nominated and then you put in for a provincial or federal grant and you're like, hey, we've won the local chamber award. Well, your trust factor has gone up. Now, someone who doesn't know you says, well, local people trust them. So I feel a lot better about giving them a grant. Okay. And again, it comes back to what the first part of this whole lesson today was around governments having goals. They want to achieve their goals. They want to align with people who, can execute. So this is hopefully starting to land with you. I want to deal with a couple myths. And that is, I've got a blog on this if you're interested, if any female entrepreneurs on here, but oftentimes I get asked, Dave, I'm a female, not as much anymore, but Dave, I'm a female entrepreneur. There's got to be money for you. Well, there's not much. And this can be a real myth. And plus in 2018, they actually had a woman entrepreneurship fund. So I've got a blog for that. John, you can even throw that in the chat if you want. If you just Google Alberta Business Grants, women newsletter, it'll show up, and we can throw that in the chat for you if you're interested in that. But be careful of these myths, okay? Because they can be highly distracting. So learn, read it, have a few calls, but then move on. And when people are chirping in your ear, you can say, no, I'm moving on, focusing on my business and sales. You'll be served well. Remember the startup ecosystem, right? This is a NABI. They're out of St. Albert. Again, you can reach out to these people and say, hey, can I get into your organization? Or is there one locally that can fit that you know of? I'm just trying to get you these skills of moving into this space and learning it. And then on the brick and mortar place, so these are people wanting to put, local businesses in town. You're really getting into sort of like these facade improvement programs that John talked about earlier, summer students and training grants. And listen, if you nail that, it's great. And if any restaurants are on here, look at that tourism HR grant, Google that one, and you can get some summer students. I mean, can you imagine? You got some summer students, you got a new sign out front, you're training your staff. It's pretty remarkable if you think about it. All right. That is so hopefully for a lot of you, you're kind of new at this, you're kind of getting to that go no milestone, or you're figuring out where you land. But just remember, you can you can sign up with the newsletter there. I don't know if we put it in the chat, but it comes out on Monday morning. John did put it in there. If you want to, oops, sorry about that. If you want a copy of my book, it's on Amazon as well. If you just Google Golden Grant Rules, I'll put it here. Just Golden Grant Rules on Amazon if you want some more tips like that. I've got a course if you're interested in. Starts online September 25th. But this is only for people who are, in this sort of grant space. Okay, so this is not. We've got a lot of free resources for those of you who are doing startups. And then there's a conference coming up here on October 8th to 10th. So please check that out. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing. And if you have any questions, by all means, please ask away. Thank you for your time. I hope you found it valuable. You'll get a survey at the end too. So please let us know feedback. Okay, Tanya's got a question. For county grants, does the business need to be in that county? Oh, you want it? Is there anyone from the county here right now? Let's see. I would reach out to them directly, but read the guide first. And by the way, be very careful of these things. I just want to let you know something, Tanya, is word of mouth in grants. It can be so discouraging. Always like read it because each grant's different, right? And even that, when they write it a certain way, they'll make changes. They'll be like, yeah, you know what? We know we have this, but they can do whatever they want. It's their money. So just be real careful, read it really carefully, and then go direct to source. Remember those 6 questions I was asking about? That's where you want to go. And be really prepared, have a good meeting because it's an opportunity for you to make a good impression. Next up. Yeah. How can I tell the difference between legit grants? Good question, Lauren. So one is the URL, right? So, I mean, I have a database with 1,000 of them. So that finding grants, /finding grants, I mean, they're vetted. They should be. I mean, I've got a researcher who helps me, but in general, if it says canada.ca, like it's a government of Canada website, or even Alberta, and then the municipal. So watch the domains. And then the fake stuff, yeah, that should solve it, to be honest with you. But it should be very clear, very, like look at the on-farm one. Like it should just, that's what I do. Yeah. And, just like spend some time finding it. Like I encourage people when you're finding grants, like there's probably only 3 or 4 grants that are real, well, depending on your sector, but that you can really dial in on. Is spend some time looking around at them and being like, oh, okay, yeah, this is the one right here. Talk to them, read the guides, and you'll be in good shape. Any other questions here? Any startup questions? And the new people, I'd love to hear from you, the new people. Are you feeling more overwhelmed or is that a little bit helpful? Because like I think 7 of half the group were like rather new. John, you seeing any other questions? Sue, why is it challenging to get startup grants? Well, I have my opinion. In general, here is a really good free resource for startups. For those of you doing startups. Oh, and John, you know what else? We did a little pilot project. Reach out to John because I did a startup course that John picked up a couple licenses to. We're just doing a pilot project. So reach out to John directly. John, maybe you can put your email in there and you can go through a startup class. But that blog right there will answer most of your startup questions. It's a little helpful. Thanks, Candace. We're trying. It's a lot of work getting started. Startup grants also, like, if you're just starting, it's very risky for the government, right? Like just to give you $20,000 to say, go get it. Like that's, I mean, the heart of the matter. Is it worth hiring someone to write grants? I think, Joanne, the main thing is I'd want to know, like, what sector are you going in? And also, Joanne, one of the common mistakes people make when they hire someone is like they delegate it. They're like, okay, you're going to write my grant. But think of it as a 12-week process where you're going to be spending 5-6 hours a week over that, in general. I don't know the size of the grant, but you're going to have to be involved because, you're going to have to understand what goes into your team biography. You have that information. You're going to have to go and, work on your marketing plan. Like, you have to be heavily involved. So just be very careful around getting someone else to do the full thing, in my experience. And I also don't know your sector. If you put your sector, I can help. How can I have a class. So to work with someone like me, it's here's the course here. It's the advanced grant writing course. And I teach you how to write a master grant application, then you do it yourself. So like Joanne, you were saying do hire someone. With my course, I teach you, hey, this is how you write a grant application, build it from start to finish. And then you can use that for multiple applications going forward. So that's how that works. These are great questions. Anything else? Okay, looks like it's it. John, I think I'll hand it over to you. Thank you, everybody, for sticking around. It has been a pleasure. How much does the masterclass, the advanced grant writing class is $5,000. Thanks, John. I'll kick it over to you, and away you go.
Okay, thanks, David. Oh, there's one more question from Sue.
Can you recommend a resource for business plan creating? I know. Do you have something? Do you have something in there, John, in your organization that helps with
Oh,
business plan?
yeah, so we also help you write business plans here at our office. That's one of our services that we offer.
Nice.
We also have some templates available on our website, cfllb.com. It's under the resource tab. Go check it out, and there's more stuff other than business plan creation that can help you.
Right on. Okay, great. Thanks, John. And thank you, everybody else, for attending today. John, anything else you want to add?
So just want to reiterate, we have a conference coming up, Power Up North, tailored for businesses and entrepreneurs. Our main themes are hiring, branding, and culture. It's between it's from October 8th to 10th. And we also have a barbecue event coming up tomorrow here at our office, 1106 Avenue, Biche. So stop by anytime.
Awesome. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks, Jennifer. See you later, everybody. Take care. Bye, John. Thanks for having us. Bye.
Bye, David.